This is the third video devoted to my caption contest that I do on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in participating in it and you're a subscriber but you don't have notifications on, you probably want to turn those on. This third caption contest turned out even better than the previous two, and I selected for it this picture that I took a while back when I was down on my family land in northwestern Indiana, just north of Rose Lawn. And my family has had fields for quite a while, which we let out to some local farmers. And this year they were planting corn. You can see that the corn is quite high that year. It was a pretty good year as far as yield goes. And while I was living there, and actually during all the summers and times that I spent there, I would often walk out in the fields because it was good exercise and I like being out there and being surrounded by all this nature. And so I wrote here in the new caption contest, I'll take the 10 best ones, totally subjective, decided by me, of course, and put them into the next video, which you're watching right now. This is from my family's land when I was there for a visit and took a walk along the fields. So, as you can well predict, there were a lot of comments that were puns, and you can see a roundup of them here. Most of them corn-related puns. I guess there's kind of a meta level there because you can talk about things being corny and also make a pun at the same time. Retro Gamer had a good one there, twisting it in a somewhat different way. Looking into Greg's channel, you would certainly appreciate the cornucopia, and Josh had a good one there as well. When your student's attention wanders and you need an audience that is all ears. Then there were some other references that I've also aggregated here that had to do with movies, and I should have predicted this ahead of time, that there'd be a lot of Children of the Corn references. If you don't know the Children of the Corn, it was a horror movie. The first one, I think, was in the mid-'80s, and it spun off a set of worse and worse horror movies following after that. So Alfonso says, Gregory Sadler has been declared the next director to helm the new Lionsgate reboot of Children of the Corn. Filming is slated to commence in March. Ethy writes, that's what you get when you cross Socrates with Children of the Corn. Lonnie says, Children of the Corn X, Nietzsche's child comes to life. But then there were two other movies that were being referenced. And one of them I kind of figured I would get. So you see down on the bottom, if you think it, they will be. And then Back to the Fields of Childhood Dreams. Obviously, Field of Dreams, the Kevin Costner film where he builds a baseball stadium. And I don't really remember all that much other than ghosts coming to play a baseball game there. And I think everybody's fixed by the end of the movie. But then Retro Gamer also says, when you try to time your reenactment of a scene from North by Northwest to get the right shot, but after 6 hours, there's no sign of a crop duster. So I haven't seen that movie for a long time, but I think I remember the scene that he's talking about. So let's get to the 10 best of the quips now that those are out of the way. Here's a good one by Pramita. When you finally come out of the allegory of the cave and see the light. Yeah, it was a blazing day, and cornfields are usually fairly humid. So, if we did have an allegory of the cave and it was set in Indiana, you'd be looking at corn or soy, most likely once you came out of the cave. Here's another really good one by Naomi. Anyone who visits with Hoosiers should take care that he does not in the process become a Hoosier. And if you gaze too long into a cornfield, the cornfield gazes back into you. Okay, so that's obviously a parody of a Nietzsche quote about not gazing into the abyss and about monsters. And I'm not myself a Hoosier, but I suppose I'm sort of an honorary Hoosier since I've spent so much time there. This one's a little bit shorter, a little bit more self-explanatory, perhaps, by Gloff. Phenomenology of Spirit, Midwest Edition. And, Indiana isn't the only place where they grow corn. You could think of, lots of parts of Wisconsin and Illinois and Iowa, Michigan, even going into Ohio. And yeah, the Midwest is full of this sort of stuff. If you just look around, well, I'll say as a sort of side note, when I've lived in other areas, it's been very interesting to see what other crops they grow. Like down south, I'd never seen a cotton field before, and that was quite interesting. Another thing they have in Indiana are mint fields, just mint as far as you can see, and then there's all sorts of other things as well. Here's another good one. When the existential crisis hits and you just need to walk around in some corn, kind of like that one. I actually did spend quite a bit of time walking around those particular cornfields. You don't walk around in them, of course. You walk around the fields on the paths. I guess you could go into the corn if you wanted to, but it's not all that often done. So here's another one by Isabel. As he contemplated the vast field of corn, Professor Sadler once again resolved to understand the balance sheet of his own life. And that's a good one. There's something about looking over, it could be corn, could be barley, could be wheat, could be rye, could be, vegetable fields, could be soy, although soy is kind of short, those plants don't grow that high. There's something about going out into the fields, especially if you go to like the fields for flower places, and you just see like tons and tons of zinnias or marigolds. It's pretty cool to do that, and it does lend a certain kind of perspective. All right, Victor de Leon, he who philosophizes behind the rose. Kind of an interesting little quip there, tying in with the other ones. And now we get into some of the funnier ones that are not particularly puns, but they're pretty good. Jeremy says, the face you make when you realize life did not give you lemons, but presumably it gave you corn instead. And you can tell I'm smiling there. I enjoy being out there. Juan says, I want to believe, if you don't know what that's a reference to, Google the X-Files, and they spent quite a bit of time out in places like that, in the show, and Mulder might have been from a country background. I don't quite remember. Here's one playing off of all those lousy t-shirts things. I left Wisconsin and all I got was this stupid cornfield. I mean, obviously you could get cornfields here in Wisconsin, but it wouldn't be growing quite as high, most likely. And then finally, last and least, this is a great one by Austin. When your mom makes you take that obligatory photo at the county fair shortly before abandoning you in the corn maze so she can get smashed on $3 hard ciders. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, that area of Indiana, Newton County, you ought to go to the Newton County Fair, and you will see some people like that. The fair brings out all the people who you don't ordinarily cross paths with. And, corn mazes are a big thing down there, not just for the fair, but for Halloween and all sorts of other time of the year sort of things as well. So that's a good joke. I'll be doing more of these caption contests in the future. So if you want to get in on them, just stay tuned. If you don't have the little bell thing clicked on my channel, you might want to do that so that you get notifications of it and you can get in on these contests. So that's it for this one.